Ash drifted like gray snow over the broken streets of Haven Ridge. Buildings stood hollowed and black, their windows melted into strange glass tiers by dragon fire hours earlier. The air smelled of burned metal and wet stone, and every sound felt too loud in the silence that followed the attack. Ethan Ross moved carefully through the debris with a cracked lantern in his hand. He was only 24, thin and tired, and he had never planned to be brave. He had planned to fix machines, earn credits, and maybe one day leave this dusty edge world behind. Now he stepped over fallen walls and twisted railings, searching for anyone who might still be alive. "Anyone here?" he called, his voice small against the ruined sky. A weak cough answered from behind a smashed transport. Ethan rushed over and found Lily Brooks kneeling beside an old man with a burned arm. Lily's brown hair was tied back with a strip of cloth, her medical kit already empty. "He needs water and clean bandages," she whispered. "I used everything I had." Ethan offered his canteen. "It's not much." "It's enough," Lily said, giving him a tired smile. Overhead, shadows passed through the smoky clouds. Everyone froze. A shape like a mountain with wings slowed above the city. Then another. Then another. The dragons had returned. They descended in a circle around the central square, their scales glowing in dull reds and golds as if fire lived inside them. Streets cracked beneath their weight. One dragon, larger than the rest, lifted its head and spoke, not with a roar, but with a cold, clear voice that echoed inside every mind. "People of Haven Ridge, humans of the outer systems, you are weak, you are short-lived, you build with thin walls and soft hopes. Lay down what little power you think you have. Serve and you will be spared. Resist and you will burn." Fear ran through the survivors like a sickness. Some cried. Some fell to their knees. Mayor Claire Benson stood on the steps of the old council hall. Her jacket was torn, her face gray with dust, but her eyes were steady. "We are civilians," she said into a handheld speaker. "We don't want war. Let people leave. Let the wounded go." The large dragon tilted its head as if amused. "Weak creatures always beg," it replied. "Watch." A smaller dragon leaped into the air and breathed a bright stream of fire into a nearby housing block. The building folded inward, glowing, then gone. Screams rose. The message was clear. Ethan felt something hot and sharp in his chest. Not just fear, but anger. He grabbed Lily's arm. "There's something you need to see," he said. "Now?" Lily asked, staring at the dragons. "Now," Ethan said, and pulled her through an alley toward the old industrial zone. They reached a sealed facility half buried under ash. A faded sign read Station 10, though most of the letters were gone. The doors were thick and rusted shut. "This place was closed before I was born," Lily said. "I know," Ethan replied. "But when the fire hit, something woke up." He showed her his wrist unit. A steady light glowed where before there had been nothing. "It's responding to something here," he said. Using a metal rod and his own weight, Ethan forced open a narrow gap in the doors. Inside, the air was cold and clean. Lights clicked on in a long hall one by one, leading deeper underground. They followed the path into a chamber filled with old machines. In the center stood a wide pillar made of dark metal, covered in faint blue lines. As they approached, the lines brightened. A soft voice filled the room. "System online. Human presence confirmed." Lily gasped. "It's alive." "Maybe not alive," Ethan said, "but it's listening." On a dusty screen, words began to appear. "Last defense protocol activated." Ethan's heart pounded. Defense? From what? The far wall shifted and opened, revealing racks of long, silver tools that looked half like weapons, half like medical gear. Above them, the dragons roared again, and distant explosions shook the ground. Lily touched one of the strange tools. It warmed under her hand. "Ethan," she said quietly, "what if this place was built for this?" Ethan did not answer. He was staring at the screen as new lines appeared. Enemy profile detected. Dragon class organism. Weakness analysis in progress. His breath caught. "It knows what they are," he whispered. Without warning, the room pulsed with light. The lantern in Ethan's hand went dark, then burst softly into sparks. The machine spoke again, louder now. "Distress signal underway." A low hum filled the station, rising until the floor vibrated. "Where is it sending that?" Lily asked. Ethan shook his head. "I don't know. But someone, somewhere, is going to hear it." Outside, the dragons circled, unaware that deep beneath the ruined city, something old had opened its eyes. Ethan took Lily's hand, not to comfort her, but because his own was shaking. "They told us we were weak," he said. Lily looked at the glowing machine and then toward the distant fire above. Maybe they lied. The hum grew stronger, carrying its secret message into the dark between stars, where no dragon ruled. The hum from the hidden station did not fade. It sank into the stone and spread through the ground like a slow heartbeat. Ethan and Lily stood in the blue light of the old machine while dust drifted from the ceiling with every distant blast. "If that signal brings more dragons, this will be the worst mistake ever," Lily said softly. Ethan wiped his dirty hands on his jacket. "Or it brings something else. Something they don't expect." Another explosion shook the walls. They could not stay underground and wait. People were still out there, hiding in shattered homes and burning streets. They sealed the station door as best they could and climbed back into the gray daylight. The city felt smaller now, like it was holding its breath. They moved from block to block, pulling survivors from wreckage and guiding them toward the old subway tunnels where Mayor Claire had set up a hiding place. Smoke burned their throats. Ash stuck to sweat on their skin. Near the market square, they found Jack Turner crouched behind a flipped cargo truck, waving people toward a narrow street. "About time you showed up," Jack said, his face black with soot. "Dragons are searching door to door." Lily knelt beside a young girl with a bleeding leg while Ethan helped an older woman walk. "They're taking people," Jack whispered. "Anyone strong enough to stand." A low rumble passed through the air. A dragon dropped into the street at the far end, its eyes glowing like burning coals. Its breath steamed in the cold air as it sniffed the ground. "Run," Jack hissed. They moved as quietly as they could through a broken shop and out the back, slipping into an alley. The dragon's claws scraped stone behind them. Ethan spotted a metal door half hidden by trash. He pulled it open and shoved everyone inside. It led into a dark storage tunnel under the street. They waited, silent, as the dragon's shadow passed over the opening. Its heavy steps shook dust from the ceiling. Then, slowly, the sound faded. The people Ethan and Lily had saved did not cheer. They just sat on the cold floor and held each other. Fear had taken all the noise from them. When they finally reached the subway shelter, Claire looked up from a cracked data screen. "The dragons are confused," she said. "Their patrol patterns changed after the big fire in the east." Ethan exchanged a look with Lily. "The fire was near the station," he said. Claire leaned forward. "What station?" Ethan told her about the machine, the voice, the signal. "Then that place is the most important thing on this planet," Claire said. "And the most dangerous." An hour later, the lights in the shelter flickered and died. People cried out. Then emergency lamps blinked on. Above them, the dragons roared in anger. Ethan checked his wrist unit. "Power spike," he said. "The station is doing something." Suddenly, a deep sound rolled across the city. Not loud, but strong, like a distant drum. Every dragon in the sky twisted and cried out in sharp pain. "What was that?" Jack asked. Ethan stared at his screen. A field. Some kind of energy wave. In the street above, a dragon crashed into a building instead of landing cleanly. Another spun in the air like it had been struck. For the first time, the dragons did not look like gods. They looked lost. People slowly crawled out of hiding and stared at the sky. Lily felt something deep inside her chest loosen. "They can be hurt," she whispered. The relief did not last. One of the dragons let out a scream so loud it shattered nearby windows. Then it blew fire in a wild circle, torching cars and trees. "They're angry," Jack said. "And scared." That makes them worse, Claire replied. The field faded as quickly as it had come. The dragons pulled back, circling high above the clouds, watching. Night fell early under thick smoke. In the dark, a soft blue glow appeared on the horizon. That's the station, Ethan said. It's active. Lily sat beside him on the cold steps of the shelter. So now they know they were wrong about us. Ethan nodded. And they won't forgive that. Across the city, dragon commanders argued in sharp, hissing tones. Human machines are not supposed to interfere with dragon minds, one growled. Then destroy the source, another answered. A group of dragons broke from the sky and dove toward the blue light. Back in the shelter, an alarm on Ethan's unit shrieked. They're coming, he said. Lily stood and tightened the strap of her medical bag. Then we stopped them. Jack picked up a heavy pipe like it was a sword. Humans might be weak, he said, voice dry. But we're not helpless. Claire opened the shelter gate. This city is ours, she said. And we're not giving it to monsters. They ran toward the glow together, just as the sky filled with falling fire. And deep below the streets, the old machine waited, counting heartbeats and claws, learning how to fight back. The blue light from the old station cut through the smoke like a guiding star. Ethan, Lily, Jack, and Claire ran through empty streets while pieces of ash burned holes through their clothes. Fire rained from the sky as dragons dove toward the glow, their wings thick and powerful against the clouds. A blast struck the street behind them and tossed Ethan forward. He slid across broken stone and stopped with a sharp pain shooting through his shoulder. Lily dropped beside him at once. Can you move? She asked. Ethan nodded and forced himself up. Later, he said. Fix it later. They reached the edge of the industrial zone where old towers leaned like tired giants. The ground shook as a dragon slammed down on the far side of the field around the station. Its claws scraped against invisible force, throwing off bright sparks. It can't get through, Jack said in amazement. Yet, Claire answered. The air buzzed, and Ethan's wrist unit lit up with scrolling symbols he did not recognize. The station is building something, he said. I think it's learning from them. Lily glanced at the dragon outside the field. Can it learn faster than they can break in? Before Ethan could answer, another dragon dropped from the sky, then a third. Fire blasted against the shield in waves, making it flicker. We don't have time, Jack said. Tell it to fight back. Ethan ran to a cracked access panel near the base of the shield tower. He pulled it open and stared at a tight web of glowing cables. I don't know how, he said. The station answered for him. Human interface active, the soft voice said. Operator required. Ethan swallowed and placed his hand against a pad that slid open from the metal wall. Cold rushed into his skin like water from deep space. Images flooded his mind. Stars, ships, burning worlds. Then blue lines sketched shapes that looked like maps of dragon bodies. Weak points, he whispered. The station was not just a shield. It was a teacher. A thin beam of light shot out from the tower and struck the nearest dragon in the eye. The creature screamed and pulled back, smoke rising from its face. It worked, Lily shouted. But the victory lasted seconds. The dragon roared and slashed with its tail. The shield cracked like glass. Field strength falling, the station warned. Jack raised a fallen metal bar and looked at the others. If that thing comes through, we don't run. Agreed. Claire nodded. Lily lifted her small medical cutter like it could hurt something that huge. Then the dragon broke through. It smashed into the yard, fire rolling off its scales. Its eyes locked onto Ethan, and it charged. Time slowed. Ethan screamed and slammed his hand harder into the pad. Now, he cried. The station answered with a loud, rising hum. The ground lit up in thin, glowing lines, forming a wide circle around the dragon. The creature lurched, confused, as its wings went stiff. Its fire sputtered and died, collapsed with a crash that shook the air. Everyone stood frozen until the dragon stopped moving. Jack let out a laugh that turned into a cough. Guess we're not as weak as they think. The station spoke again, quieter now. Enemy physiology incompatible with active field. Adaptation successful. Ethan stepped back from the pad, his hands shaking. It's copying their biology, he said. Every second they attack, it gets better. Lily looked at the fallen dragon. Up close, it was massive, its scales like broken stone. Dark blood leaked between them, steaming where it hit the cold ground. If that's true, she said, then every dragon that comes here makes us stronger. A sharp cry from the sky answered her. More dragons were coming. They landed outside the broken shield, pacing like wild animals. One of them lifted its head and spoke again, its voice cold and biting. Humans, it said into every scrap of air. You are the weakest species in the galaxy. You survive only because others allow it. Ethan felt something rise inside his chest, something hard and bright. Then why are you afraid? He whispered. As if in answer, the station's light flared bright enough to bleach the ground white. The dragons hissed and backed away. Some tried to fly but fell hard to the earth as the energy field surged. Deep in the sky, others turned and fled. The message was plain for anyone who could see. Humans were not winning with fire. They were winning with learning. Claire placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder. This world doesn't fall today, she said. Ethan looked at the station, then at the smoke rising from the fallen dragon. No, he said, it doesn't. And somewhere far above, beyond the clouds and stars, a signal kept traveling, carrying one simple truth into the dark. Humans were not the weakest species. They were the one that adapted. The captured dragon was bound inside a wide ring of blue light. It floated just above the ground, unable to move its wings or tail. The station kept the field tight, like invisible chains. Ethan stood a few steps away, his heart beating fast. He had faced dragons in the sky and fire in the streets, but this felt worse. Up close, the creature was not just a monster. It was old. Its eyes were sharp and burning with pride, even in defeat. The dragon opened its mouth and laughed, a low, rough sound. So, it said inside their minds, the insects learned to sting. Jack gripped his metal bar harder. Talk again like that and you'll find out how hard we sting. Claire raised a hand. We don't want to harm you, she said. We want answers. The dragon's eyes narrowed. You want truth from your enemy? That is not the human way. Ethan stepped forward. You burned our city and took our people. Tell us why. For a moment, the dragon stayed silent. Then its gaze flicked to the glowing station. Because we were told you were finished, it finally said. Because we were told humans were dust, scattered and weak. Lily moved closer. Told by who? The dragon hesitated. Ethan felt the station shift, pressing more gently, like a question instead of a weapon. By our elders, the dragon said at last. By those who remember the old wars. Jack frowned. Old wars? With who? The dragon let out a long breath. With you. The word hit them all like a blow. That's not possible, Claire said. We would remember a war like that. The dragon's mouth curled into a tight smile. You lost much more than cities. You lost time. You were pushed back into the dark while we spread lies among the stars. Ethan felt cold settle into his bones. You're saying we fought before, and you didn't win. The dragon did not answer at once. Then quietly, no, we did not. Silence filled the yard. Even the fires in the distance seemed to ease. Lily swallowed. Then why attack now? The dragon's eyes burned brighter. Because you were rising again. Because your machines were waking up. Because if the galaxy remembered you, they would not follow us. Outside the shield, more dragons watched from broken buildings and smoky skies. Claire took a slow breath. So you lied. You told the galaxy we were weak so no one would help us. The dragon lifted its head as high as the field would allow. Fear is easier than truth. Ethan looked back at the station. Data streamed across his wrist unit, filling with lines and maps and old human symbols. It's showing me records, he said softly. Battle logs. Worlds we defended. Species we saved. Jack stared at him. Saved. Ethan nodded, shaken. We weren't conquerors. We were guards. Lily closed her eyes for a second. And they erased us. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the air from above. Release our warrior, it hissed, or your shelter world will burn. A massive dragon hovered over the yard, its wings stretching wide, its scales black as night. That's their leader, Jack muttered. The large dragon's voice rolled through the air like thunder. Your kind does not understand power, it said. You wear scraps of old weapons and think yourselves strong. Claire stepped forward. You are afraid, she replied. And now everyone will know why. She tapped her comm unit. Across the city and beyond it, screens flickered to life. On every channel, one message played. Images from the station. Human ships in great numbers. Humans standing beside other species, holding lines against endless fire. Truth, long buried, rose into the light. The black-scaled dragon roared in fury. You will regret this, it promised. Ethan lifted his head. We already paid the price, he said. Now it's your turn. The leader pulled back into the sky with a storm of wings. The other dragons followed, uneasy and shaken. The captured dragon let out a low sound, something between anger and sorrow. You don't know what you've started, it said. Claire met its gaze. Yes, she said. We do. Above them, the station's light grew wider, calmer, and across the stars the lie began to die. The sky over Haven Ridge burned red as the dragon fleet returned. They did not come in small groups this time. They came as a moving storm, their wings darkening the clouds, their fire lighting the world below like a second sun. People ran through the streets again, but this time it was different. They did not run only to hide. They ran to fight. Ethan stood beside the station tower, his hands deep inside an open panel. Blue light flashed across his face as lines of code and strange symbols raced across his wrist unit. They're coming in waves, he said. The station can hold them, but not forever. Claire was already giving orders through a dozen open channels. Move the injured to the lower tunnels. Keep all eyes on the sky. If the field drops, fall back to the rail bridge. Jack climbed into the cockpit of an old cargo shuttle parked near the tower. Its hull was patched with scrap metal, its engine held together with hope and bad wiring. I can still fly, he called over the noise, and somebody needs to draw their fire away from the tower. Lily grabbed his arm. Then come back, she said. Jack gave her a crooked smile. I'll do my best. The shuttle lifted into the air just as the first dragon dove. Fire washed across the ground where Jack had been standing seconds before. The heat sent a wave through the air that knocked people flat. Ethan slammed a switch, and the shield flared brighter. Fire rolled across it like water hitting glass. In the sky, Jack flew low and wild, pulling sharp turns between falling flames. Two dragons followed him, roaring in anger. That's right, Jack muttered. Chase me. On the ground, Lily ran from person to person, pulling the wounded from the open streets and into cover. Her hands shook, but they did not stop. A child with burned arms cried into her shoulder. Lily felt her heart break, then harden. You're not dying here, she said firmly. Not today. The station's light pulsed with every strike. Field strength decreasing, the station warned. Ethan swallowed and read deeper into the data stream. There's another mode, he said quietly. It's risky. Claire looked at him. How risky? It could overload the tower, he said. Or it could hurt them. Claire did not hesitate. Do it. Ethan placed both hands on the control pad. Activate combat mode, he whispered. The air screamed. The ground lit up in wide circles, and thin beams shot into the sky. Dragons cried out as their wings locked. Their fire failed. Their senses twisted. Several fell from the air, slamming into empty streets and broken buildings. But one did not fall. A massive dragon with scales like dark iron pushed through the beams and dropped heavily onto the street in front of the tower. It lifted its head and roared, shaking glass and bone. You cannot stop us, it said. You are stubborn little creatures. clinging to ruins. Ethan met its eyes. Then you picked the wrong planet. The dragon rushed him. A blast of force threw it sideways at the last second. Claire stood behind a mounted launcher pulled from a ruined defense pod. Eyes up! Fire again! She shouted. Explosions rocked the street. In the sky, Jack saw the tower flash brighter than ever. He pushed his broken shuttle forward, straight toward the largest dragon ship above the city. "If I get any closer, I won't make it out," he said softly. Then he smiled. "Good." Jack slammed the throttle and dove toward the ship's glowing core. On the ground, Lily felt the city tremble. A thunderous blast tore through the clouds. Light flooded the sky. Pieces of the great dragon ship rained down in fire. Jack Turner was gone. Lily screamed his name into the burning air. But there was no time to mourn. The dragon on the ground rose again, wounded but not dead. It lashed out with its tail, sending Ethan flying across the street. Lily ran to him as the world blurred in smoke and flame. Ethan opened his eyes and saw the sky cracking with light, dragons falling, humans standing. "We're not losing," he whispered. Lily squeezed his hand. "No, we're not." Above them, fire met will. And for the first time, the dragons were the ones afraid. Silence did not come after the explosion. It only changed shape. Fire still burned across the city, but the sky felt empty, like something huge had stepped back to watch. Smoke rolled in slow waves. Bits of black metal and glowing stone fell from above like dying stars. Lily stayed on her knees beside Ethan. His eyes were open, but his face was pale. "Don't sleep," she said. "Not now." Ethan tried to smile. Hard to sleep with the world on fire. Claire rushed toward them, her coat torn and dirty, one arm bleeding. "The main fleet pulled back," she said. "They're not gone. They're waiting." A low sound slid through the air like a blade. It was not a roar. It was not thunder. It was a voice. Every human in the city felt it in their bones. "Children of dust," it spoke. "You have bled enough. The war ends now." The clouds split apart. Something huge descended. The dragon that emerged made the others look small. Its wings stretched wider than buildings. Its scales were not red or gold, but dark blue, almost black, cut with faint silver lines like living armor. Ethan forced himself to sit up. "That's not like the rest." The station answered in a low tone. "Designation: High Marshal." The High Marshal landed at the edge of the industrial zone. The ground sank under its weight. Its eyes burned with ancient light. "I have fought your kind before," it said, "when you still feared the dark. When your ships were slow and your skies were empty." Claire stood tall even as the ground shook. "Then you know we don't quit," she replied. The High Marshal tilted its head. "You learned a new toy and think it changes fate. It does not." It lifted one claw. The shield around the station bent inward like soft glass. Ethan cried out and grabbed the control pad again. "It's crushing the field," he said. The ground shook as the High Marshal pushed harder. Then a voice cut through the air, sharp and shaking. "Stop!" Everyone turned. The captured dragon from earlier stepped into the light of the field. The station had loosened its hold. "You disgrace the old law," the dragon said to the High Marshal. "You break treaty and memory alike." The High Marshal's eyes narrowed. "You forgot your place," it replied. "No," the dragon said. "I remember it." It looked at Claire, then at Ethan. "There is a hollow beneath your tower," it said quickly. "A channel in the ground where the core breathes." Ethan's eyes widened. "A vent line," he whispered. "If we reverse the flow." "You will burn your own machine," Lily said. The dragon nodded. "And theirs." The High Marshal roared. "Traitor!" A bolt of fire struck the dragon mid-sentence. Collapsed in silence. Lily gasped and ran forward, but Claire caught her arm. "It's gone," she said softly. Ethan closed his eyes for a second. Then he made a choice. "Open all channels," he said. "Now." The station's light flared as he moved through the system with shaking hands. "Reverse core flow," he ordered. The machine hesitated. Warning. Structural failure likely. Do it, Ethan said. Deep beneath the tower, something changed. The ground moaned. The light grew wild and bright. The High Marshal stepped back, its scales burning with blue fire. What have you done? It roared. Ethan stood, even as blood ran from his nose. We adapted, he said. A wave of energy burst from the tower and slammed into the High Marshal. The great dragon screamed as its armor cracked and flaked away. It did not fall, but it bled. Dark blue blood steamed on the broken ground. The High Marshal staggered, shocked. Impossible, it whispered. Claire raised her weapon. Not today, she said. The station began to scream in warning tones. Core unstable. Evacuate immediately. Lily grabbed Ethan by the arm. We have to go, she said. Ethan looked back once at the glowing tower. Hold a little longer, he whispered. They ran. Behind them, light swallowed the street as the tower burned with a voice like a star tearing in half. And when the smoke cleared, the High Marshal was gone. The station was gone. But the city still stood. Morning came to Haven Ridge quietly, not with birds or traffic or voices. It came with smoke drifting over broken towers and heat rising from cracked stone. Lily walked through the ruins with slow steps. Every breath tasted like ash. Her hands were burned and shaking, but she kept moving, checking faces, listening for breathing, calling names. Ethan, she whispered again and again. She found him near what was left of the station. The great tower was gone. In its place was a wide crater filled with glowing stone and twisted metal. The light was softer now, like coals at the end of a fire. Ethan lay on his side at the edge of the crater, half covered in dust. Lily dropped beside him and pressed 2 fingers to his neck. A pulse. She laughed once, sharp and broken, then laid her forehead against his chest and cried into his shirt. Nearby, Claire worked with survivors to pull people from the wreckage. Her voice was calm, even when her hands were not. This road is clear. Move carefully. Watch the beams, she said again and again. Jack Turner was gone. Everyone knew it, and everyone felt it. But grief had no time to grow. Far above the city, shapes moved through the clouds. The dragons were returning, not as an army this time, as a broken line. They flew high and slow, their formations ragged, their wings uneven. Ethan opened his eyes as the shadows crossed the ground. They're still here, he murmured. Lily helped him sit up. Yes, but look at them. Ethan squinted at the sky. Dragons were landing on the hills outside the city. Not charging, not burning, just watching. Some lowered their heads. Some turned away from the ruins. A soft sound moved through the streets. A human voice. A broadcast. Screens flickered to life across the city. Broken terminals glowed faintly. Wrist units buzzed. The same message played on every channel. Old recordings. Human ships flying in tight lines through dark space. Human soldiers standing beside creatures with horns and fur and glowing eyes. A human woman holding a dragon's claw as smoke rolled behind them. The truth the station had sent into the stars was coming back. 7 worlds. Then 12. Then more. Messages arrived faster than anyone could read. Help is coming. They lied about you. We remember. Ethan stared at the sky. They didn't erase us, he whispered. They just buried us. In the air above Haven Ridge, one dragon broke from the group and descended. It was smaller than the High Marshal. Its scales were gold, cracked and blackened from past battles. It landed at the edge of the ruins and folded its wings. Not in attack, in surrender. Claire stepped forward. So did Lily. The dragon bowed its head. The lie is broken, it said. The young hear the truth. The old cannot stop it. Claire met its eyes. Then leave, she said, and do not return. The dragon shook its head. No, many of us will go, but some will stay. The galaxy is not what we were told. And neither are you. Lily felt something loosen inside her chest. Ethan reached for her hand. They're afraid, he said. Good. Lily replied softly. So were we. In the sky, dragons turned away from Haven Ridge one by one. Some flew into the clouds. Some fell from them. Across the city, people climbed from hiding. They looked upward. And for the first time since the fire, they did not run. Far beyond the planet, fleets were moving. Not dragon fleets, human fleets, and fleets of others. Old allies, new ones, drawn by a message that had burned its way across the dark. The lie had been strong, but it was not stronger than memory, and as the dragons faded into the distance, the city of Haven Ridge stood in smoking silence. Not as a grave, as a signal. The first ships arrived without noise. No fire, no thunder, just light. Small points in the sky grew into shapes, and shapes became ships that slid through the clouds like quiet mountains. They were not dragon craft. Their lines were smooth, dark, and marked with signs Ethan almost remembered from the station's records. Human signs. Other ships followed. Long and thin, wide and shining. Some carried colors no one in Haven Ridge had ever seen before. People gathered in the open streets, standing shoulder to shoulder, covered in ash and light. No one cheered at first. They only stared. Then a voice touched every ear. "This is the Human Relief Fleet," it said gently. "If you can hear us, you are not alone." Lily felt her knees weaken. Claire closed her eyes. Ethan laughed once, quietly. "They heard us," he whispered. Shuttles dropped from the skies and landed in open fields and broken roads. Doors opened. Ramps fell. Humans stepped out. Not soldiers first. Medics. Engineers. People carrying water and blankets instead of guns. They moved fast and kind, like they had done this 1,000 times before. Lily found herself surrounded by help before she even asked. A woman with silver hair took Lily's hands and wrapped them without a word. A young man pressed a warm cup into Ethan's shaking fingers. Claire spoke with officers who listened instead of giving orders. For the first time since the fire, the city did not feel empty. Felt full. Later, a larger ship came down at the edge of the ruins. The side opened like a wide door, and a group walked out together. Not just humans. Others. A tall figure with glowing eyes and soft fur. A small one with shining skin like glass. And more. All different. All watching the city with the same quiet respect. One of them stepped forward. A human woman in a dark jacket. "My name is Evelyn Hart," she said. "We came as soon as your message reached us." And it reached many. She waved toward the sky. "You did not just call for help. You woke a memory." Ethan felt his chest ache. "We didn't know who we used to be," he said. Evelyn smiled sadly. "You still are." In the days that followed, Haven Ridge changed. The dead were honored. The wounded were healed. New power units were set in place where the station had stood. Small lights bloomed across the city like stars that had fallen to the ground. Jack Turner's name was carved into a simple wall beside the crater. No rank, no title, just his name. Lily touched it every morning. Ethan rebuilt. Not machines this time. Networks. Links that could not be burned or buried. He taught others how to listen to old systems. How to wake sleeping tools. How to learn fast. Claire stood before a circle of leaders from many worlds. She spoke simply. "We do not want an empire," she said. "We want a promise. No world should ever face this alone again." And one by one they agreed. Not because she was loud, but because she was right. Weeks later, a gold-scale dragon returned. Not with fire, with empty claws. It landed far from the city and waited. Ethan and Lily walked to meet it. The dragon bowed its head. "We were taught to fear you," it said. "Now we are taught by you." Ethan looked at the ruined horizon, at the ships in the sky, at Lily's bandaged hands. "We're still learning too," he replied. The dragon lifted its wings. "Then maybe that is where peace begins." And it flew away. At night, Haven Ridge glowed. Not with fire, with life. Children played where flames once fell. Voices filled the streets. Music moved through air that had once tasted of smoke. Lily sat beside Ethan on the steps of the new council hall. They said we were weak, she murmured. Ethan shook his head slowly. They were wrong about everything that mattered. Above them, the stars burned in clear lines across a clean sky, not watching, waiting, for what humans would become next.